Hey, everybody, this is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar. We got a really cool, really interesting, and really different guitar player with us. We're with Steve Kimock out of you're in Northern California, right?
I'm in Pennsylvania right now, dude.
You're in Pennsylvania.
That's why well, actually, it's probably warmer here than it is where I was in Sebastopol.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got up this morning, man. There's no sun and it was kind of rainy, so I'm
wow. I don't know what that's
doing
like.
a hoodie.
All right. Steve's been a master of improvisation for over 4 decades. He just had his birthday. He's 35. I don't know how the 4-decade things work, but besides besides rock, over the years, he's explored blues, jazz, funk, folk, psychedelic, boogie, gypsy, prog rock, traditional Americana, and world fusion. He's a really great guitar player, man. If you're not familiar with Steve's work, go to his website and you start listening to all this stuff. Very, very great improvisation, dude. Born and raised in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, he was inspired to play music by a folk singing aunt of his. Steve then got his own guitar, a $10 acoustic that he began playing 12 hours a day, every day. In the early 80s, Steve and drummer Greg Anton co-founded Zero, an instrumental psychedelic jazz rock blues band. By 92, Zero was regarded as one of the marquee Bay Area bands and architects of the infant jam band genre. While still performing with Zero, he began exploring new terrain with the looser, bluesier Steve Kimock and Friends, which has had a variety of players on various instruments throughout the years. He was once touted by Jerry Garcia as Jerry's favorite unknown guitar player. He toured as part of Bob Weir's Kingfish. I know that's like a backhanded compliment. Like, oh, you're my favorite.
Random.
I know, it's really weird. I felt weird reading that. I don't know. Steve toured as part of Bob Weir's Kingfish and Rat Dog, in addition to post-Grateful Dead ensembles, including the Other Ones, Phil Lesh and Friends, and the Rhythm Devils, featuring Mickey Hart and Bill Kreutzmann. A musician's musician, a PR person must have wrote all this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I never even heard this stuff.
This is like, when there's all these adjectives, I know it wasn't like a real human, it was a PR person. Steve shared the stage, this is where it gets honest, with players like Taj Mahal, David Lindley, Jorma Kaukonen, Hot Tuna, Bonnie Raitt, the Allman Brothers, Buddy Miles, Derek Trucks, Elvin Bishop, Grace Potter, Grace Slick, all the other Graces as well, Little Feat, Nicky Hopkins, Papa John Creech, Peter Frampton, all the members of Fish, Screaming Jay Hawkins, and more. The list goes on. Isn't that a song? Steve's released 9 solo albums, including Satellite City, which was voted as one of the best albums of 2017. Steve and his son John also released Invocations 1 in February 2019. And man, you got a great background. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you coming on the show. So my first question was, you moved from Bethlehem to Northern Cal in the early 70s, but did you move back now, or are you just hanging in Bethlehem?
I went back and forth twice. Actually, I tried to move from Northern California to New York, and arrived the day before the Trade Center fell.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah. And all my gear was still like in pallets and stuff like that, big cases, at LaGuardia, with U.S. out of North America stickers on it, wavy gravy, nobody for president, stuff like that. I thought they were going to blow up all my gear. But yeah, I decided then it was not a good time to move to New York. Back.
Oh my God, that had to be like the worst omen ever.
Yeah,
hey, I'm in New York. The shit explodes.
Try and get something legitimate going on here, and the sky fell down. So we went back. My wife Jen and I went back then to California and hid in the woods for a year or two, I think, and saved our money. Came back again to the East Coast when things had settled down, and bought a house, raised a family, kind of thing back here. And so we were here for another 13 years, and then back to California for a couple of years, and then went, it's too crowded here. And the kids don't like the school. I thought they'd love it out there, but they like it better here. And it's not so crowded.
What was the allure? What was the allure of California? The weather?
In the 70s? It's where all the musicians were, as far as I could tell,
No, I mean the second time.
Same as the first.
Oh, the music scene.
Yeah. I mean, I had been there for so long and was so, it's like networked and stuff.
Yeah.
Knew everybody, right? And by the time I got back the second time, it was more like, you know, it was like I could go back to the place, but I couldn't go back to the time.
Yeah.
You know? And
yeah.
So just like after a while, you just go, yeah, it's just, you know, I don't need the traffic, and I don't need the expense. If I could afford it, it'd be awesome.
Sure.
You know, but I missed that one.
Did you know the guys from the Mother Hips? Do you know Greg Loicano, any chance?
Yeah, I mean, I did. I didn't know all of them or super well, but you know, we were, you know, active in the scene, or however you say it.
Yeah.
You know, at the same time, so I used to see them a lot, and I really like those guys.
Yeah, I had Greg on the show like last week. It's a very, I mean, it's a big place, but it's a like, you know, the guitar community is small anyway, but that's a real tight knit community up there in Northern Cal.
Oh man, I often wind up going off on this tangent, but the guitar players that were in town when I showed up, and it wasn't like a big deal. They're just there and just playing their asses off, you know. You know, Terry Haggerty. Did you ever hear Terry Haggerty from the Sons of Champlin?
Yeah, yes. In fact, I had Bill Champlin on the show.
Well, Terry, man, was just one of the most just ferociously original, like jazz rock, like honest to God guitar players. He'd just play like completely atonally, just burning, beautiful stuff, man. Just super, super in control. Great jazz guitar player, great rock guitar player at the same time in that band. That was a very, very creative band, the old Sons of Champlin. They were great. Who else was in town? Amos Garrett.
Oh wow!
Whom I adored when I heard. One of the reasons I moved to California was because I heard Amos Garrett on the radio with Maria Muldaur, the Midnight at the Oasis,
yeah, sure.
Which I thought, I heard that and I was like, what? What? You know, I couldn't believe it. Like the clock radio in the morning, you know, I still lived in Pennsylvania as a kid. I heard that solo and I was like, where's this guy? You know, and then I heard Hot Rod Lincoln on the radio, you know,
sure.
Bill Kirchen with Commander Cody. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, where's this guy? You know, and I heard Santana. I was like, where's this guy? It seems like everybody was in California. There were so many great musicians like right there. Really, you know, John Cipollina.
Oh, from Quicksilver.
You know, I mean the Mike Bloomfield.
Yeah.
For Christ's sake, you know what I mean? Like the stylists and the talent, you know, the energy and the guitar thing back then, late 60s, early 70s in the Bay Area. I think it was pretty special.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, a lot of guitar players. You know, not to mention Ali Akbar Khan was in town. You know, George Van Epps was up in Santa Rosa, you know, somewhere writing the 19th installment of Harmonic Mechanisms for Guitar that nobody got past the first 4 pages. Shit was so dense, you know. Joe Pass was over at Synanon out on the coast there getting his heroin cure and so forth. There's just a lot of people.
Very cool, man. So something very odd. Late Neil Casal.
Right.
I had Neil on my show, and then 2 weeks later to the day, I was like, holy crap. I mean, I got goosebumps now just saying it. That was a very weird thing, man. Yeah,
that was just way too out of the blue.
Yeah, very unfortunate.
For me to put like the whole thing was like, and process it.
How did you? What was your first break?
A little too close to home.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Break.
Yeah.
Probably just getting to go to California at all, you know, from PA, because we had our little about a 4-piece band, you know, but it, you know, I had my Les Paul and Frank had an Ovation, you know, everybody had an Ovation back then, and he would finger pick and I would play lead guitar. Billy would play the bass or sometimes a slide, and we had, you know, the drummer, the Duffy, and we had a little band. We wrote songs, and we thought it was cool, and we just wanted to play. But, you know, we're sitting out in a cornfield here, So when we got a chance to go to California, because we had met a dude who was back and forth from the East Coast to the West Coast, they knew a bunch of the bands out there, you know, so you could assume he was a drug dealer. You know what I'm saying?
That's so funny.
I didn't fucking know. I'm
yeah.
thinking, oh, this guy's a manager. We should have a contract and shit, you know?
Maybe he could hook us up. Yeah, not with a contract.
I was like, wait a minute, is this like all just some sort of money laundering thing, or is there cocaine involved, or what's happening?
Oh my God.
You know, but it turns out, man, everybody that was involved, they really had their hearts in the right place, and it was just, you know, I think an unavoidable consequence of, you know, the business and the scene at the time that there may have been substances involved.
Yep. Your first record, it came out in 2002, 10 songs, 2.5 hours long, and not one song. No, not one song is less than 8.5 minutes, and 2 of the songs over 20 minutes. It's a live record. Great improv, loads of different genres, tons of psychedelic stuff, which I really love. But how the hell did you get a record company to sign off on that? That was like,
I don't know. We probably didn't, you know. I mean, I'm not aware that I had any like real kind of label sort of stuff either in or out. Like, oh, let's do this. You know, just make records and print something fun.
So it was more like you produced this or put it out. It wasn't through a label.
What record was it?
It was, hang on a second. I got it right here. Steve Kimock Band.
Oh, Steve Kimock Band.
East Meets West.
Oh, yeah. There must have been stuff out before that. Or no, there's Zero stuff was out before that, or Hard Gold Band. Yeah, there was other stuff that I did that was out there. That might have been the first bit under.
Right. That was the first bit under your name.
I don't know who did that. Mobile Fidelity or Relics, or I don't. You know, I have no idea.
I was just amazed.
I don't remember that far back.
You got someone to sign off. I mean, people can't. You know, 5-minute songs. That's too much. I was just like, holy crap.
Oh, I you know, I understand the you know, the 3-minute thing. You know, for the you know, for writing back in the days, you just didn't get paid for more than 3 minutes. There's no point in making a 6-minute song.
Right.
You know, you put the track line down the middle of it, you know, and gave it a new title, and then you got paid for 2 songs. You know?
Right.
Yeah, I guess eventually what we're going to get to in this interview is that nobody knows who I am, because I really just don't resonate with the commerce part of it.
Right.
I so don't care. And I don't know. I wish I did. You know, maybe I have my own like sort of little self-sabotaging thing that says, well, if you don't try, you can't exactly fail, you know, or something like that. But I'm immune to the business, unfortunately.
When you say you don't care, you mean you don't care about getting paid, or you don't care about what do you mean by you don't?
It's
care?
not why, you know. I mean, it's not why I was doing it.
Sure.
You know? The guitar thing, to the extent that I was like really doing it when I was like earlier in my life, you know, before family and before a whole bunch of it turned into work, which is, I understand, is necessary. I'm okay with work. But early, you know, I mean, from the time I started, maybe when I was a young teen, all the way up into my 30s at least, maybe longer, it was just, I just wanted to like pick the thing up and feel like I was making some progress, and that I was having some kind of authentic relationship with the instrument. and with where I was in a learning curve on it. It wasn't related to like a specific kind of music, you know.
Sure.
It wasn't like, I want to play bluegrass, you know.
Right.
Like, I don't care about bluegrass. I don't care about jazz, you know. I didn't care about, you know, the genres. Just wanted to
Forward momentum.
figure out if I could, you know, tease something out of the instrument on my own. And I kind of did and kind of didn't. And, you know, that's pretty much where I'm still at today. I mean, my favorite thing about it is feeling like I just figured something out, or I could know something, or something was knowable, or that I understood something that you know, I was struggling with previously. That's when I would feel good, and it didn't have anything else to do with the you know, like, you know, with the bands or the records, or even having like a, you know, a self-image that included the instrument, which is a weird, you know what I mean? Because you're saying, hey, let's talk to this guy, Steve Kimock, the guitar player. And like, yeah, this is Steve. Except if I like looking at myself in my head, there's not a guitar there. You know what I mean? It's weird.
No, I understand that, because just like you're you, and then you and the guitar or something else.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
totally
like another thing. But I like, I tell you what, man, I was right before you called, before we got this together, because I spaced it out because I was asleep. So I just got back from these gigs in Arkansas. I was sitting here trying to, you know, play my bottleneck guitar, my Super Ozark, and just messing with it and trying to adjust it to get it like so it sounded right. And I found some stuff. I learned some chords, and I learned some, you know, little counterpoint kind of things. This tune I was working on, that felt so good. I was like, yay, you know, like I didn't waste this day. I felt like I learned something. But that's, you know,
I think the best guitar, I mean,
personally, now
yeah.
there's another bit. I'll just say this one thing. There's another bit that concerns me. That's, you know, like on a band level, on a social level, because that's just me with the guitar. But I understand that when I go and do the gig, that the gig itself is a 99% social thing. It's not about the 100% that the music means to me is, you know, just like, you know, a little drop in the ocean kind of thing, you know, of the overall experience that people are having. So anyway, there's two different things there. I care about learning for myself. I feel like I learned something. I feel good. And as it relates to going out and working, if I feel like I'm in service to the gathering and the people are cool and they're having a good time, then that's awesome. It doesn't have that much to do with the music. So those are more the focus than the business or the money or that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. But don't you think most of the people, like, you know, let's take two of the great guys that out of all the guys you play with, Jorma and Warren Haynes. Right. I don't think they're waking up every day or, you know, I got to write a hit. They're just, right. I mean, I'm sure they feel the same way. They're just, oh man, picking up the guitar and saying, hey man, how do I feel like this? How can I express this in a way that's congruent with how I feel and feels right through my fingers?
Right. Yeah. Well, Jorma, I know Jorma. I've known him for so long. I know him well enough to know that he's always been just kind of that. He's always been very pure.
Yeah, incredibly. I mean,
yeah, man, that dude was like on the path, and he stayed on it. And you know, he was fortunate enough and talented enough, obviously, but fortunate enough also to get some success early on.
It just worked.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. The airplane and all that stuff. It almost killed him too. Yeah. You know, he had to overcome. You know, a lot of the consequence of that success later on, as did, you know, I mean, a lot of cats A lot of cats did. But no, he's a very pure player.
Oh, I saw him like 10 years ago down here in Tampa. I was with my son, and Hot Tim and Jack came. Man, just to watch that dude play is just, joy.
He's so good, and they do an electric cartoonist thing, which I'm doing with them, and it's on the website.
Yeah, I saw it. When is that, man? Let's promote it. When is that?
It's like towards the end of November. It's some anniversary that I'm fortunate enough to play with those guys.
Where is it? Where is it?
At Town Hall in New York City.
Oh, cool.
At the fabled, the legendary Town Hall.
Town Hall, New York City, and go to Kimock.com, Kimock. Yeah. I'm gonna if it's gonna kill you, I'm gonna promote it.
Thank you.
I want to get your music out there, man. I really dig your music.
I don't know that you need to. I'll bet that one's gonna sell.
Yeah,
that's not gonna be a problem. But both of those guys, Jorma and Jack, when they do the electric cartoonist thing, Jorma does maybe half of the set on one of those solid body Chet Atkins steel string guitars. It just looks like an acoustic guitar. It looks like spruce, but it's this thick and there's no sound hole, and it's got the bridge pickup. And they came out and everybody went, "Oh wow, Chet Atkins, man!" And they get it. It's because there was a gut string one and a steel string one. And I remember playing it back in the day, go, "Oh, that's cool." And I played it, go, "Oh, that sucks. This is awful." I was literally just another one of those Gibson guitars that was like, why would anybody play that? And that's what he plays. All right. And he plugs it into I can't remember I can't remember the guy's name, but it makes this nice kind of old high-power tweed twin kind of thing. It's like it's basically a tweed twin, just with a straight chord, no effects, no nothing. Just puts a capo on or finger picks or whatever.
Finger picks is really funny to see.
And oh my God, you never heard a better guitar sound on stage. You never heard a better sound. I stand behind that amplifier. People running away from it, trying to hide, like covered with plexiglass and blankets and stuff. And I'm like, we were going, give me some more of that. It's the greatest sound. Anyway, no, I don't think Warren Haynes is trying to getting up in the morning worried about writing hits either. Although I'd be less surprised if he wound up with another one or two.
Yeah, right.
At this point.
It's interesting. I did have one guy on the show that the only guy I ever spoke to that wrote for hits was Dave Mason.
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah.
I love, he's another one that fits into the story, multiple places. One of the connections that I have, one of the threads through this whole thing was, when you're reading that biography, it left out the bit in Pennsylvania. We had our little band, it was me and Billy Goodman and Frank Goodman and Duffy Hoffman, right? 4-piece band, Goodman Brothers. And Billy, who's a great bottleneck player, great writer. I mean, one of my favorite slide guitar players on earth. He's in Berlin now. He's been over in Germany for 30 years, but forever. But Billy helped Jorma with his sobriety, in addition to like being a crew guy, with the band and taking Dave Mason on the road. But Billy took a lot of guys out on the road, kept them together, did his best. Johnny Thunders.
Wow.
Yeah, like all kinds of crazy people. There's all these crazy tie-ins between, me and Jorma and Dave Mason and Billy.
That's wild. Pretty random that I mentioned him.
It's so random. Yeah, I still listen to Dave Mason Alone Together.
Alone Together, man. That's awesome. But he said this is what he said. And you can go back and listen to the interview. He said that he was kicked out of Traffic because he wanted to write more hit songs.
Wow.
And, they wanted to be Traffic.
Wow. Did they think that they wouldn't be Traffic if they wrote hit songs, I guess?
I don't know. I think it was, it's like, it just sounds like an ethical, not ethical.
Well, I mean, I kind
of sounds like a philosophical, not lack of congruency. I don't even know if someone would think about, well, maybe you got to be really open-minded to say, well, maybe we should write some hits. If we have some hits, we could still do our experiments.
Yeah. I mean, but I mean, back in the day, because I was a Traffic fan. I mean, I don't really know anybody that wasn't.
Yeah, they're great.
I don't know that from the audience side of the glass, for me buying the records and thinking about the bands that I had a problem with, Los Barker High Heel Boys versus Only or I Know or something like that.
No, it was all great. It was all great.
Yeah, I thought it was all cool. Although I could imagine, because I saw some film footage, I guess they call it, of Traffic back in the day, like live shows, man, and that shit was loose.
Yes,
that was a jazz band, and so I could see, maybe getting into some little furball about wanting to write 3 minutes. We need a single.
Yeah, we verse, chorus, and
we need to paint the entire side of the record with one song idea.
Yeah, so I think it was just probably a philosophical difference. I don't even know if it's. But it was interesting. On that, I was just curious on that first record, man. You had some great guitar stuff going on. Were you playing a Strat? Like, what were you playing on there, if you remember even? First solo record.
Oh, the live one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, half of it was in Japan. So I wasn't carrying a whole bunch of stuff over there. Probably had my Explorer, my Guitar Lab Explorer, which I've been playing since I was, 18 or something, playing as a little kid. And my old 60 Stratocaster with the big strings on it, and probably I have an old pretzel necked kind of hardtail Stratocaster with a pair of wide range humbuckers on it, like the guitar that Fender never made. Just one of those cheap Stratocaster.
Pretzel neck. What does that mean, pretzel neck?
The neck just keeps moving around on a thing, man, and the truss rod broke, and it's just like, it's one of those 70s Stratocasters that like never really settled.
Yeah,
just twisting,
like a pretzel.
Like some guitars, like they really benefit from, like seasonal adjustment. You want your seasonal adjustment. And that Stratocaster, which I still have.
Oh, that's cool.
Still play it. It's like needed like seasonal rebuilding or overhauling or like drastic, like, emergency medical care. It was just a super high maintenance piece of shit guitar that I loved, and it's love. I can play it. It's just not always there for me. But mostly that record was the white Strat with the big strings, right? Because I'd take the regular set of 11s and throw out the 11 and start with the 14.
Oh, wow.
18, 28, when I'm 38, 49, 64. And so that's a big set of strings.
Yeah.
And then I had the
14s, man. Let me see your hands. Are you tall?
No, like 5'6". They're just regular hands. I mean, I don't play those strings anymore because it eventually got to the point where, where I'd go to bend the string and then it would tear like my nail.
Yeah.
Tear away from my thing. And that was it was like my calluses were fine, and my, the strength in my hand was fine, and my flexibility is fine, totally fine. It's just the skin under my nail beds eventually gave out. That was weird.
14s.
I didn't expect to get set back by that. And so now on that guitar, which happens to be right here now on this guitar.
There you go.
Right.
You see that? Turn that around. Very cool, man. So what kind of pickups you got in there?
those are these are the ones with the rings are from a Dan Electro bass, and then this is a Silvertone guitar pickup.
Holy shit! You got Dan Electro bass pickups on your Strat. Wow, you are an interesting dude.
I don't think there's anything different between the pickups. I just think that they had the rings because they were on pick guards, you know. But
that's wild.
So my fix, it wasn't much of a fix. I've just gone from that old, you know, 14-18-28, which I got out of a Diodario set. I just take a Diodario set 11, throw away the 11, put 64 on the bottom, and that was it. And this now is a Tomastic Bebop set. So it's 1821 or something like that. So it's just lighter in here, you know, low 20, low 30, low 40, mid 50 instead of 28, 38, 49, 64. So these up, and that's enough to keep my calluses, you know, keep my nails from falling off the ends of my fingers.
That's a really cool looking guitar, man.
I love that guitar.
It sounded great on that record. I mean, the guitar sounded really good, especially for a live album back in that day, you know, 20 years ago.
We had
really good.
We had this dude, Charlie Miller, and a bunch of people worked on the record, but the on-stage recording thing, Charlie had this process where he would get a stereo pair in the front of the stage, and then would mix that. He called it a matrix recording, and he would mix the stage mic with the whatever sort of multi-track thing the front of house was doing. And we did it all the time and got good enough at it that back in the day somewhere, one of those tech magazines, you know, said, you know, these are the guys that are doing the good live recordings. It was actually a thing back then that we were making good live recordings. So,
and so, yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah, it was like, you know, well, everybody else was kind of collapsing into, you know, MP3s and 8-bit and stuff like that. We were making audio file recordings.
Oh, it's great. I mean, 2.5, man, you've got to hold people's attention. You got a 2.5 hour record, man. And it did a good job. It really did. It sounded great. I want to talk about some of these folks that you played with, and if you can maybe talk about how you connected with them and a cool or interesting story about working with them. Right. Start with Jorma, actually, since we talked about him. How'd you meet him?
Hey, Jen, where do we have got that picture of me and Jorma from the 70s looking at those Stratocasters? Is that somewhere? Yeah.
This is cool.
No, it's in the studio. Maybe I can get it for you later. I'll send you a copy or something.
Yeah, send me a copy. I you said it's your interview picture.
I met Jorma. It was like the first gig I did in California. Remember, we were kids and we went from Pennsylvania with the Goodman Brothers to California, which was kind of a mess because we didn't know we were doing anything together. And we had some van, you know, with the broken windshield and the expired registration. But our first gig, man, our manager got us a gig opening up for Electric Hot Tuna at the old Waldorf.
Wow, that's your first freaking. That had to feel pretty good. You must have, as opposed to moving to New York a day before 9/11. Now that's good. That's good karma. Holy shit! So
we're driving. I'm like 5'6". I'm the biggest guy in the band. Billy and Frank are both like 5 feet tall, you know. And we're like fist pumping and like, here we go, you know, like taking the, you know, sweeping the ocean, as Frank Zappa said, taking the nation by storm. It's like we'd arrived in California. We were going to play a gig with, you know, one of our very favorite bands ever, because we always thought that, you know, Tuna was cool. Because Jorma. And we were driving across the Golden Gate Bridge, and the van died right in the middle of the bridge.
God, bad
right? And so there's the four little guys pushing the van across the Golden Gate Bridge. right, on our way to the gig, which is in the financial district in San Francisco, which is quite a ways from the toll plaza. As fate would have it, the only girl we knew in town, which turned out to be the name of another one of our tunes, which is a really good tune, the only girl I knew in town, Carol Rogers, if I remember correctly, drove by in her Volkswagen Beetle, and we flagged her down, and she shuttled us each with our equipment one at a time back and forth.
Wow.
We made sound check like that. And
how that's really weird.
Yeah, it was great. And then and so I met Jorma there. Before the show started, he came in, with his entourage, bleeding profusely from a head wound. That was explained as, oh, well, we didn't like a little automobile accident. He hit his head on the rearview mirror or something like that. It must have been another one of those deals where they had 20 guys stuffed into a Volkswagen. And then later I found out there might have been a fight or something, and his old lady might have hit him with a bottle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was kind of neat, because I introduced him, I met him, and he's bleeding, with that Viking brow.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh, this is serious, isn't it? All right. Back from the war so soon. Yes, we opened up for them for a couple of days, but that's where, that's where we met. And we kind of, somehow along the way, maintain friendship, some kind of connection.
That's cool.
And so now I teach it as, at Fur Piece.
At Fur Piece, that's nice, man.
Yeah, it's
that's
good.
really cool. So that's a long relationship.
Yeah, it goes. We go way back. So when I finally get to do, I don't go all the way back to Jack and Jorma. Jack's stories start with moving to San Francisco in the 50s because it was cheap.
Yeah. That's about the last time someone could probably say that. Yeah.
We could afford a house there.
Yeah.
That's why he moved. I don't know where he lived, but he couldn't afford a house. But they moved to San Francisco so they could afford a place to live.
Wow.
Yeah.
Top 10 things you'll never hear anyone say now.
And so this is just kind of good fun aside to Jack, right? Because those guys are, I'm junior, by 8, 10, 12 years to most of these cats that are the legitimate, San Francisco 60s thing. All right. And so I told Jack on the bus one night, I said, man, I wish if I could have been there 10 years earlier, I wish I could have been there for these, and he just was like, he just put his fist right down. He went, everybody thinks that. What, do you think you're special? Like you could have done something if you showed up 10 years earlier? It's like, no, everybody wishes that they were there 10 years earlier. And so I thought that.
But just to check out the scene, I can understand that. Forget about like music. Just
we have we got this plastic box full of cards. It's like conversation starters, like table talk kind of thing, right? And you pick out a card and then you give it to somebody and then they answer the question. Not unlike our interview.
That's good.
But one of the questions on one of the cards was, if you could go back to any era, any time, where, what would you like to go see, and man, I thought about that, all different things that I would have liked to have been there for, or whatever, And really, I just like to go back to just like one generation before,
right,
and see some of the bebop that happened in the late 50s and early 60s, and watch that transition to electric music and rock and roll, Hawaiian music going down the tubes and country music coming up and the whole thing, man. It was a neat time getting into the 60s. I wish I'd been an adult in there,
And you would have wanted to be in California.
Yeah, I really would.
In San Fran.
It was cool. Yeah, it was a cool scene there then, I think. By the time I was playing there, it was still, man, there was like this intellectual part of it, the people that were hanging out, it wasn't like they weren't in the parking lot doing nitrous. It was like you'd go to the gig and Kurt Vonnegut would be there. It was like that,
Wow.
And it's like, oh, cool. Like legitimate, like writers, people, authors, and philosophers.
But there's some intelligent musicians even that have been like, I mean, do you know Charlie Hunter?
Sure. Yeah.
Charlie's from out there. Of course, he's from New York, but Satriani was out there for a long time. A lot of Alex Skolnick. I don't know if you know him. He's a metal player, but he's a bright dude, man. I mean, really smart guy.
Some of these cats still are like,
yeah, I mean,
just insane. Do you know Henry Kaiser?
No, but I've heard that name about 20 times, man. I need to meet him.
Oh man, Henry's just he's the most wonderful, special person that plays at all. He spends half the year still under the ice in Antarctica. He dives and films the stuff under the water.
Holy crap.
But yeah, I think he's trolling for an astronaut job. I think he wants to.
That's a big commitment, man.
He's like, I can do it. Let's go to the moon with the Stratocaster.
Who told me about him?
He's brilliant. I love him.
Yeah, a bunch of people told me about. One guy. There's a guy who plays surf rock called the Merman. Do you know that guy?
Oh, yeah.
John, I forgot his name. John Thomas, and he mentioned a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people have mentioned to me. I got to connect with that dude, man. But I'm not going to Antarctica under the damn.
Oh, speaking of surf, have you heard? There's a band, 4 young women. They're out there on the West Coast now called La Luz, L-A.
No.
That play. I just think it's some of my favorite like psychedelic kind of surf stuff tunes.
La Luz.
I've ever heard. Yeah, they're so good, man.
I'm gonna have to check them out.
I love them.
This like the huge upside of this is since I've been doing this show, I've gotten turned on to so much new music. I mean, like every week I'm meeting and talking to 2 people that turn me on to something, new.
Right. Yeah, because my thing, it's like mostly been going back, because I'm lazy. There's more great music that I missed that was recorded during all of history than great music that I missed that was recorded yesterday. So I don't care so much about what's happening right now as much as I care about trying to get just more varied input.
Well, you vibe with that music better, so why wouldn't you?
Well, if I was in a position, more like yourself, where more people coming to me with more new stuff. Oh, I have kids, and my son John, who's a great musician, has turned me on to a lot of really, really wonderful stuff that I wouldn't have found otherwise. The Books is a favorite of ours. The Books, the Books?
No, the Books.
The Books. They're hard to look up because you go to try and write books on the search engine.
Yeah. Where are they out of?
I think they're in New York somewhere.
What kind of music?
You just have to hear it.
The Books.
The Books. Yeah, the Books are great. But for my own purposes, like the guitar sound, the plucked string thing. I don't know, guitar's maybe not as popular as it used to be or something. It's not quite as much of it as there used to be, where it's like, oh my God,
Yeah, in the modern music there tends to be less of it.
Yeah. It's kind of like gone the way of the saxophone.
No, it's not that remote.
By the time I got out of high school, I was done.
That's quite funny what you said. That's a good analogy, actually. I don't think it's like that, but that's a very good analogy.
Time, like if you ask me, when was the last time somebody came up to me and said, "When was the last time you heard a great tenor player?" I'd be like, I don't know, like 1977 or something like that. No, people just stopped saying it. I think on some level, John Coltrane kind of slammed the door on it. Maybe on some level, Jimi Hendrix slammed the door on the guitar. It might have been like that far back, where it's like, okay, where do we go from here? For the electric guitar.
That's an interesting thing you just put out. I just want to think about that for a minute, that Hendrix might have slammed the door. I think he, in a way, did for the music he was playing.
Yeah, it's not like he opened like this giant floodgate of stuff, where everybody went, oh, okay, now we know how to do this. It's like it's such a ridiculous burst of creativity, and
but it was pretty specific in
well, back in the day, like listen to that stuff. You listen to the records, and you're buying records, and you're into the guitar, and you'd get Cream or something like that, or you'd get Charlie Winner, and you'd get the Hendrix stuff, and you'd listen to Hendrix, and I mean, as good as anybody else was, and this is like including the Beatles, who made incredible recordings with incredible guitar playing. George Harrison still might be my favorite guitar player of all time. But the Hendrix stuff was like a cut above in every way.
Yeah.
It's just like his command. It was just like unlike anything. He transformed the whole thing. The PA, the live sound stuff, the way that he used the recording studio, super, 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 super influential.
What's also amazing is if you look at so I grew up in New York City, man. So I was down in the Village every weekend buying bootlegs, right? And Hendrix was only around making music for like 3 years. The amount of bootlegs, that guy had his guitar plugged in like all the time. The amount of bootlegs on him versus, somebody comparable to, he's got probably as many bootlegs out in 3 years as Zeppelin did in 15.
Yeah, no doubt. There's a lot of stuff out there. Some of it I don't know.
Oh, some of it's crap, but there's a lot of good stuff.
But I like the Johnny Winter stuff that's almost Hendrix.
Yeah,
as a huge Johnny Winter fan.
I was as well. Yeah,
really Johnny Winter, Roy Buchanan, but see, like the Roy Buchanan stuff, even that's like it's a little more looking back than looking forward. He was just such a great player.
He was so great, man. He was so soulful. I mean, so soulful, and I really wish he would have been around longer.
Yeah. My original point where I was going with the Hendrix thing, just to wrap it up, is that in looking back for stuff that satisfied me, I wasn't looking so much into like looking for a guitar player that's playing like, well, who's the hot guy in Tulsa or something like that, I didn't need to look for Jesse Ed Davis. He was already there, I was trying to find more world music kind of stuff. I liked the stuff that I was hearing, the North Indian classical stuff, the sarod, mostly sitar, of course, but the sarod I like the sound of. And then I found out about the rabab, like Afghani predecessor to the sarod, and I really like the sound of the rabab. But just got into more, more world music stuff. And there's a site called Atlas of Plucked Instruments.
That's a mouthful. Atlas of Plucked Instruments. Yeah,
you go to Atlas of Plucked Instruments, and it'll give you a map of the world, and you go to a spot, and then they just have a list of the indigenous, stringed instruments with YouTube links, and you just go surf off.
That's really cool, man.
It's super cool. I've found all kinds of neat stuff.
Dude, like half my audience is going to be on that now. I'm not kidding you. Seriously.
It's really fun.
Atlas of pluckedinstruments.com. Very cool.
And so I go more that way because it's easier for me. It's literally easier for me to find a whole new kind of music that I like Vang Ko, like just the Vietnamese folk music with the scallop fret guitar, which is really nutty. If you're not hip to Vang Ko, it'll drive you nuts. It's so out there. It's easier for me to find a whole new world of music than it is for me to like dig through all the domestic stuff to find an act like Lalouz, who I adore, you know. So it's like, well, you know, who's the good young, you know, female surf band? It's like, how the fuck would I know that, you know?
It's like, ain't that the truth? It's so fun. You know what, man? It's so funny because like people ask me all the time, like, because I'm in this traffic and like, do you know this person? I'm like, you know, I don't, but how would I? Where would I?
Yeah, seriously.
Where would I? There's no radio.
Yeah. Right.
Where would I get exposed to that?
Yeah, it's easier to get connected with electric guitar in Vietnam generally.
Well, especially if you go to that particular site, yeah.
Surf guitar, you know, now it's just like, yeah. So it's hard to keep up, and there's lots of opportunities for quality input. You know, new music, old music, whatever. Just go look around.
You're mentioning world music is a good segue to the next person, because he was pretty. Jerry was pretty. He had all these influences that he used very well. Including world music. How did you connect with him? And maybe a good story about.
Oh, wow. I'm trying to think of how we met. Well, I was living in Fairfax,
Virginia?
California.
Oh, California. Okay.
Fairfax, California at the time, in Marin County, right north of San Francisco. Just this is North Bay, and a bunch of the guys lived around there. I think Phil lived in Fairfax up on the hill. He picked me up hitchhiking in the rain one time. Everybody was just there, you know.
Like you knew him and he picked you up, or it's just like random he picked you up, like, hey man.
It was pouring rain, and I saved my money for 2 weeks to buy a set of strings. I went to the store, and it was pouring rain, and you know.
So you hitchhiking home.
Yeah, and he picked me up. Anyway,
that's pretty cool.
I think Jerry was living in San Rafael at the time. Not that it matters, but I was playing with Keith and Donna Godchild, who had like that like month or day or whatever, had kind of gotten shoved out of the Grateful Dead scene.
Dude, you're always a day late. You're always a day late.
God damn it. Probably,
Steve.
Probably having
fucking timing is like, your talent is great. Your timing sucks, man.
My timing is terrible. But I think there might have been substances involved. Ken, there might have been substances involved. But anyway, I was over at Front Street, the Grateful Dead studio, because the guys were all still hanging out there. And Jerry came in. Then we hung out, and you know, I showed him my guitar, and I played him some chords and stuff like that. Showed him and he was like, I said, "Hey, you like this?" You know, I played him some big alter dominant chord or something like that. No, seriously, he goes, "Man, that's elevator music." I don't want to hear that. He fucking hated some parts of the jazz thing. It was like Chinese food. Like an hour later, you're hungry again. To him, just like,
interesting.
It was not satisfying. Well, it was interesting because I mean,
for a guy who's totally all improv,
my focus at the time, I had run into these guys in West Marin who were like pretty legitimate jazz musicians, you know, and I don't even know what you call it. Well, not like a guru kind of relationship, but I was like, okay, I'll just take care of shit, and then you show me things. You teach me, and I'll wash the car.
Right.
I'll take the bag down to the corner. I'll bring the money back. I'll do whatever I got to do, and I'm going to learn. So I had this sort of domestic situation where I would take care of things for people in exchange for learning. And there was some really good cats. A dear friend of mine who recently passed away, Bill Vitt, who played with the Garcia band. I didn't know at the time. He was one of the guys on the scene, and I'd called him up. I didn't know he played electric music. I thought these guys were just like jazz players. I called Bill up and said, "Hey man, I need a drummer. Can you do this gig with me?" And he says, "Who's a bass player?" I said, "Steve Wolf." And he goes, "Plays electric." I'm like, "Yeah." He says, "I don't play with electric players."
Oh my God.
Right. And I said, "Well, Bill, man, it's like an easy gig. It's just some funk and some blues." I says, "Just play time." He says, "I don't play time. I play with time." Right. And so it was like that. So these guys were like into the jazz thing. And so they found out that like, that's where I was trying to like learn standards, like learning the book, right? Learning that stuff because I didn't know what else I was supposed to do. It seemed like the path to, like the American improvisation thing, no matter how you were going at it, went through jazz somehow. You couldn't do it with zero.
Had you been studying like with teachers back in? Okay, so you're all self-taught.
No, it's just all self-taught.
Okay.
But it seemed like I better learn some tunes. I better learn this harmony. I better like make some attempt to get my shit together. So I did make some attempt. But then while I was doing that, I got the call from Donna and the phone. And I foreshadowed this earlier. The phone rings. I pick it up. "Hello." I said, "Is this Steve Kimock?" I said, "Yes." She says, "Steve Kimock, the guitar player?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Who's this?" And she says, "It's Donna Godchild." I'm like, "No, it's not." Because I knew who Donna was. It's Grateful Dead. Everybody's into the Grateful Dead. I was like, "No, it's fuck you. You're not Donna Godchild. Who is this really?" And eventually she convinced me it was Donna. She said, "You should come down and play." And I was like, "Okay." So that's where I met Greg Anton. He was the drummer on that.
Okay.
On that session. But the point was, these were the rock guys. These were like the Grateful Dead guys, and I was hanging out with the jazz guys. And then they each found out about the other guys, and they're like, "You're hanging out with who?" "Oh man, no man, you don't want to be hanging out with those guys. That's a bunch of no-playing motherfuckers doing some weird drugs, man. So you don't want to be associated with them." They both, like the Grateful Dead's telling me about the cats that I was hanging out with. I was trying to learn jazz from, and
Wait a
the
minute.
guys.
How do you define weird drugs for all these cats? And
this is what I'm saying, man. They're both saying it, and I'm like, I couldn't drink. I mean, I've gotten better at it. I keep practicing, but I could not drink at the time. You know what I mean? It just was too much of an interruption. I couldn't drink. I didn't have the money for any of this stuff. I didn't want to have nothing to do with the needle. So I'd smoke a little pot. That was it.
Right.
But when I showed up, like to meet this dude that's worked, Joe Carroll was the dude. He's since passed away. Great bass player. His parents were both Hollywood string players. Yasha Heifetz in the house, kind of thing.
Wow.
And so he did the like child prodigy on the violin, and then the this is the part that I missed. Like the 50s. Like alto player with the junk habit kind of thing, and that's what you had to do to play the alto. Right?
Yeah, that's probably a good thing that you missed that.
Yeah, I missed that. That. Glad I missed it. And then the composer with the piano and the upright bass, and, the music subscription service to all the big bands in Las Vegas, all that kind of stuff. So when I met Joe, man, I went there, with my L5 and my fake book and my ponytail, like I'm going to learn something, right? And I go in and I'm waiting, and he comes in, man. He takes one look at me, rolls this giant stinking joint. He throws it down on the table. And I said, that's not going to help my playing. He says, that's not supposed to help your playing. That's supposed to help your attitude. I was like, oh, I'm so transparent to you, apparently, I guess. And I guess I was, man. So we smoked this giant joint, and then he had the nice old Macintosh stereo, and we just listened to Jim Hall.
Wow, I haven't heard that in ages. Some Macintosh stereo, man.
Oh, nice, man. I remember with the little blue lights on the whole bit in the tubes.
That was like the Mac Daddy, man.
That was the good shit. And anyway, so, that was that was the extent of my involvement in the drug thing. Was it had been made clear to me that my attitude really would benefit from some marijuana. So I got that far with it. But yeah, imagine, both camps thinking the other camp was a bunch of no-playing motherfuckers and weird drugs. So
that is funny.
What's really funny is the dude that I play with a lot, man, who was just like an extraordinary improvisational musician, Jeff Carlisi, keyboard player, right? He plays with the Dead Company, he plays with my band. We just did the whole thing in Arkansas. He has a very similar story, between the cats that were around
between the jazz and the early rock guys.
Yeah. There was some actual split there. That was interesting to me because it wasn't there with so much other music, right? Because while I'm doing this, I'm gigging too,
Right.
And which was, a big part of my decision to fall in the direction of doing the rock thing, because I just realized that if I was doing the jazz thing, I might get a plate of pasta out of it, but
yeah, you're not going to eat.
Right. And the parties and the money were better on the other side of the street. So
that hasn't changed.
No, it hasn't changed. So the other side of the street, where I was working, like at the Chi Chi Club or something next to the Stone down in San Francisco, was the Mabue Gardens, Mab Gardens, man, where all the punk acts were. And I did a bunch of gigs, a lot of gigs, man, a lot of shows in San Francisco, with with punk bands and, in that scene back at the time. And as much as the punk thing might have been some, pushback against, maybe this fucking shredding guitar hero thing or something like that, those guys all loved it, Dad. They loved rock and roll. They didn't care. They was just, this was what we're playing. And it was cool. This is what we're playing. It wasn't a problem. But there was some genuine odd kind of animosity between what I knew of the jazz and rock scene early on there. I don't know if it ever got better.
Yeah, that is weird. Most musicians tend to be pretty encouraging of each other, intergenre, or I really, at least nowadays, I've talked to 600 people and I have never gotten that vibe.
You know what I found out? You got to be really good before they're not encouraging.
Yeah.
Right. Like Lindley, I did a gig with Lindley last year. Me and Lindley duo was really fun.
That's really cool.
A huge hero of mine, like all my life, man. I have loved Mr. Dave just with a passion. I love his attitude, his playing, all the instruments, the slide guitar and the oud and the whole bit, and he apparently had some gig somewhere. He's playing an oud, and there was some legitimate oud player there. And if you've heard Lindley anytime in the last couple of years, it's like he just keeps getting better and better. Him and Cooter both. They just keep getting better. It's not fair. So good. So good. It's like you can't believe how good they are, and then they're better every time. And but there was some legitimate oud dude in the audience, man, and he went right up to Mr. Dave. Apparently, Dave tells him and says, "You should not do that at all."
Oh my God!
Don't even pick it up. It was like one of those, like,
wow,
you've defiled my raga so thoroughly, man, that
You've defiled my raga.
I'm gonna tell you. It's like, just don't do it. Play the banjo. It was like that, you know. And like, I think some of the the real traditional dudes, you know, will.
Yeah, that's weird. You know what? I guarantee that.
If you're up and coming, you know, they'll be super supportive. They really want you to do it. But you get to a certain level, right? And you're not doing it right. They're like obligated to tell you, you know, you're not doing this right. This is not the music. You are not honoring the music here.
That guy seemed like a dick to say that. Because, I mean, you got to figure, I mean, how often is David Lindley picking up his oud? You know, versus a guy who only picks up an oud.
Hey, you know what? I bet he does. I bet he picks that thing up every day. You know?
Oh, really? You think?
Yeah. He's way into it. But I think that might be a feature of a level just above me, where
that guy sounds like he's a dick.
You're not getting encouraged anymore. You're like getting your hand slapped, because look, if you're going to be one of us, you better do it right. You know, I think there's some of that up there.
Yeah, that guy sounds like he was. I have never heard any music. Almost everybody I've spoke to is incredibly supportive and understanding and forgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, telling
that's
Dave.
My experience.
Yeah, that guy sounded just like he was a bit of a dick. No,
I was better to be more up my case about it.
No, that guy was just a bit of a dick.
All right.
I mean, think of the ball. Think about the balls you got to have to tell David Lindley he's not good at something. I mean, come on, it's just like, you know, that sounds like a guy who's like saying, well, at least I play oud better than him, or something like that, you know. And I'm going to let him know. He's probably doing the same thing on the internet. He's the guy that trolled me.
Oh, speaking of good guys, and speaking of the internet, man, I played with another friend of Mr. Dave's, and a guy. I mean, I never thought I'd even get to meet the dude because he's from so far away. But maybe the best guitar player on earth right now is this dude Debashish Bhattacharya, who plays an Hindustani slide guitar. Do you know Debashish?
No. What does he play?
He plays. Well, he invented his own kind of guitar.
That's one way to be an expert.
Hindustani slide guitar. If you get as far as typing Debashish into your Google there,
Debashish.
Yeah, Bhattacharya will come up. That's the dude.
Hindu slide guitar. Where's he out of?
Wow, he's in Calcutta right now, I think. But he was up here for some gigs in New York, and he stayed at I have a barn with a studio in it, over by Martin Guitar here in PA, and he came and stayed there for a week, and we got to play and do a gig and hang out, and I got to learn from him, and he was super encouraging and positive and really good. But I think he might have had some of that same thing in that Indian, like, to learn in that system. I think those guys I think they're harsh.
Yeah, but that's different culture. This guy was in America, that guy who came over to, yeah, but I think different culture. You know what it is? I noticed, it's funny, I have a good buddy of mine in San Diego, and he's Lebanese and his wife's from Costa Rica, and he's got 2 little girls. And so he's about 15 years younger than me. My kids are much older than his as a result. And I was saying something about, he was talking about his girls and, what could happen. And I said, well, be careful for this. And he goes, Garber, you forget, we're ethnics. That shit doesn't happen with us. You guys are white. You're way more permissive than we are. And he's right.
Wow.
And he's right. He's right. I think different cultures have different.
Yeah.
The standards are much tougher, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. We tend to be looser with things you know, where like it's okay. So you look at martial arts. Did any of your kids ever study martial arts?
Yeah, my son John is second degree black belt submission grappler.
Holy crap. Okay.
Yeah.
So most martial arts nowadays, you go there and the parents are saying, how long, this is the first question, how long does it take to get a black belt? And if it's more than 3 years, fuck you, I'm going to another school.
Right.
Now, if you go to like a legit master who teaches this stuff and he told him 3 years, he'd laugh at you, because this isn't a thing where, you know, like every 4 months you get you know, it's like, what are you going to earn? And generally that takes 12 years or so, you know what I mean? So I think it's just here, because we have free commerce, that tends to get everything involved and the choices are greater, which is a nice thing.
Right. And you know, again, this is kind of on some level, what makes America great is that we have choice. You know, like I could be a musician even though my dad was a steel worker, kind of thing.
Yes.
You know, and that's why people come here. People come here from all over the world.
100%.
So they don't have to be a baker because their dad was a baker and their grandpa was a baker. They want to do whatever they want to do. They want to dance, or they want to do some art, or, you know, they don't want to be a baker, even though their name is Baker.
Totally. You know, but at the same time, if you wanted those strict standards, you could find them, but you're going to have to go out and search them, or you just go to Pakistan and then you just like, holy shit, this is the real deal, you know? And I think because that it's generational in these places where, you know, it's wax on, wax off. It's not like you're not going to the music teacher in the store. And if you are, he's third generation guru at this, and you're marching to the beat of his drum, or he doesn't need your $50 for the week, you know? And so I think this just seems to be a little different standards sometimes. Like that. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm just saying the expectations tend to be different.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Jerry, man, finish your story with Jerry. So you met Jerry through the God shows.
Oh, yeah, so we played, you know. So we hung out, and you know, realized, you know, kind of right away that we were both very geeky about the guitar. You know, my trip at the time was still like all day, every day. It was just like nose to the grindstone. I loved it. I didn't have anything but a guitar, and I just sat and I played the guitar, and I worked on it. And he was very, very, very much like that. Just always looking for info, and like always, you know, like trying to, you know, get technique, you know, trying to establish, you know, some of his own thing, which he did beautifully. But I didn't bug him, you know. It wasn't like after him. I could tell that he was over peopled, and you know, I mean, I could tell that really, ideally, he'd just be left alone.
Yeah,
and he could play, and then it'd be fine. And so we didn't see a whole lot of each other. We just run into each other and go, oh, okay, and then we put the little bubble on it. So when me and him would get together, then it kind of kept people away because we were doing a talking shop thing. And nobody actually understood who I was. They were like, he's talking to that fucking guy. It's not stopping. He's talking to that guy and he's not stopping. So we had a little bit of a relationship. Anyway.
It's cool how the guitar is the bridge for so many relationships, man. The guitar and music, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's got my whole thing.
Yeah.
Based on that, you know. The bit that you referenced before, the unknown guitar player, the Jerry Garcia unknown guitar player thing.
Yeah.
Right. That he was on the Guitar Player magazine advisory board. He sat on the board, whatever that means. Right? So he was on the board. And
could you imagine what a board meeting of that looked like? It'd be like, hey, I got some new
oh man,
hash.
I'm
Let's
looking at
pass this around.
Right, and I was like, holy shit, man, there's some heavy duty people in there. And but anyway, they polled their advisory board on that question. Who are you aware of that you think, our readership should be aware of? Like who's unknown that you're into? What are you listening to that we might have escaped our notice? And Jerry answered 2 people. One of them was me.
That's really cool.
And the other was Frank Gambale.
Wow.
Who was also like around Northern California more than you would have think. You think, oh, he's from Australia. It's like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
They're in Santa Fe all the time. Anyway, so yeah, and
that's really cool, man, because that's not like a canned thing. That's like a genuine thing. That's really nice.
Yeah, no, it wasn't
really nice.
It was a genuine thing. He'd heard me play, and we'd play together, and he was like, oh, that's good work, dude. And I was like, well, thanks, man. And so, I mean, that was back in the 80s or something. Danny Gatton was on the cover of that one. He's got like a mask on or something like that. The unknown issue, Guitar Player magazine. Yeah, I didn't, and nobody even told me about it. I had some friend of mine called me from Nashville and said, hey man, you're in the Guitar Player. And I'm like, I am? I said, yeah. So I walked down in my car, walked to the store, got the magazine. I don't think I shoplifted it, although I might have. Like, oh, wow.
Doesn't make you a bad person.
I guess I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble now. You know what I mean? Because on some level that does, it puts people's expectations in a certain place and does paint a little bit of a target on your back. And so I knew there's going to be some sort of mixed blessing about, him just having said that. Although I was super flattered, obviously, and grateful, no pun intended.
Yeah.
It brings us to this moment here where, where in order to introduce me, you have to introduce all the members of the Grateful Dead. It's like I played with Phil Lesh, and he played with. It's like, well,
yeah,
right. And I can't pronounce the guy's name, but the little guy with the little fiddle that does the throat singing, the tube, and I played with that guy. I played with lots of Native American drummers, and I played with my cousin, and played with everybody.
What did you do with the brothers?
The Goodman brothers?
No, yeah, the Allman brothers. I know what you did with the Goodman brothers.
Oh, the Allman brothers. Oh, well, I was always a huge, huge fan. I was a huge fan of the Allman brothers. And it was another one of those things where the phone rings, right?
Get out.
I'd pick up the phone. Hello? Is this Steve Kimock? I'm like, yeah. Steve Kimock, the guitar player?
Is there like a bunch of Steve Kimocks around, man?
Like there's none.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's like 30 Kimocks on the planet, And I'm like, yeah. And if this lady's calling me, she says, are you busy right now? And I'm like, no. She says, I need you to play this gig. I need you to get your guitar and get in the car and just come to the gig right now. She says, you don't need an amp. Just get your guitar and come to the gig. I said, where's the gig? She says, it's the Fillmore. And I said, you want me to get in the car and come to the Fillmore right now and play a gig? She says, yeah. And so I said, what's the band? She says, can you come to the gig? I said, who was the band? She says, it's the Allman Brothers. And I was like, okay. So I got my guitar and went to the gig. And it was one of those, I'm not like the old, this is really the beginning of that relationship.
What year was this?
The same year that everybody else got to be Dick for a day when Dickie fell out, right?
Okay.
It was like this big fundraiser, Bill Graham thing at the Fillmore West, and Dickie just like got off the bus and again, I don't know, got in a fight with somebody or clocked his old lady, did something awful.
I've heard this story like 3 or 4 times from different guys in different states.
Right.
Yeah.
So until the Allman Brothers organization band members, or maybe just some individual finally just got had enough of his madcap hijinks and threw him out. I mean, there was a whole series of Allman Brothers gigs that needed somebody local to rescue. Warren was playing at the time, and Warren and I had already been friends for a while from stuff we'd done around New York, and knew each other. And he knew I was in town, so he called me up. I went down, played a bunch of tunes. It was great. It was really wonderful.
That had to be amazing.
And then it was so sweet, and then after that, with Bob Weir, we did a bunch of Rat Dog Allman Brothers, tours where we'd be up all the time, on the same stage, and so we'd get to play together a bunch, And I was always a big Derek Trucks fan too, from when he was really young, man. When he was just first starting to get out there with his band, we did a gig he opened up for Zero at Maritime Hall, man.
Oh, that's really cool.
Played so good.
How old was he when he opened up for you?
Young teen.
Wow.
Right?
That had to be wild. Like
little kid. He was a little kid, man. And
that had to be wild seeing him as a little kid, like playing
a Hamer. He's playing a Hamer.
Yeah.
And they played their set, and it was great. And I'm getting ready to go on, and he's just standing there with the guitar. He's just standing in the hallway with the guitar. And I looked at him, and I was like, oh, come on, you look like you're not done playing,
So he came up and played a set with you guys.
Oh my God. So good. So good. Like even on that age, and like at the Maritime Hall, like where there was a place to put the thing, there's a big room, big high ceiling, and a big balcony. People would occasionally go crashing off and onto the dance floor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There was Zero gigs and ambulances at the Maritime Hall, where that was the thing. They had these little wings, a little, like extension on the stage, just a little spot that went out. And, we pushed him out there with a twin reverb, like a 13-year-old kid with a twin reverb. And, oh man, he just like dimed the thing and just played, and the sound all through the hall. So beautiful. Yeah, it's he was great.
Yeah.
Right out the gate. I was lucky to have known him a little bit then. And who else was Doyle Bramhall Jr.
Great player.
Doyle and Derek played together in Clapton's band.
Yes.
Right,
I didn't know Doyle and Derek played together in Clapton.
Yeah. They were both in.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They were both in that band at the same time. Imagine being Eric Clapton and getting those two guys to play.
Yeah, that's about like you got to be Eric Clapton to get those two guys to play together, man. Not too many people could do that.
Oh, it was just extraordinary. But I knew Doyle, man, when he was really little, like 8, 9 or something. He's just like, and he was playing just like that back then. And we used to take him around to the local bars. And after somebody like chaperone him, get him in, let him use my amp.
This is in Northern California as well.
Yes, in Cotati, California. Yeah, Doyle was there for a long time.
Great player, man. Great sound. Great writer, actually, as well.
Yeah, great singer. Good dude.
Let me ask you a question. Your last record, Satellite City.
Yep.
That was like a departure. in a way. Like you had vocals and
yeah.
It was like contemporary. It sounded great.
It's all a departure.
Yeah.
You know, the record that we talked about before, you know, the East West.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that was a departure. It's all a departure. But it, you know, both of those records, as different as they are, were like collaborative writing exercises. You know, it was like, okay, let's get some people together and come up with some stuff that's our own stuff, and see, you know, see what that is. See what this chemistry is. What does, you know, what do these people do? You know, when you put their heads together, because when people, you know, people just try and get stuff together, if their hearts are in the right place, if they really want to do something, then really great stuff happens. Oops.
Who was the woman singing?
Oh, that's Leslie Mendelson.
Sounded great.
And the deal with that record, the record that I did right before that was a introspective, very naive, very psychedelic thing called The Last Danger of Frost, which is just me kind of wandering around the room, picking up stuff and making noise.
The Last Danger of Frost.
Yeah.
That's a pretty intense title, man.
I was leaving Pennsylvania for California when I was doing it.
Oh.
The Last Danger of Frost. It's like, well, if you went your farmer's almanac, that's, you know, it's like now it's safe to plant. You don't plant until, you know, you pass the last danger of frost.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a garden.
No one was saying that in the Bronx.
It's a gardening reference because you didn't have a garden.
We didn't have any grass.
If I had known, I would have brought you a box of dirt. Anyway, so a couple of things that happened with Last Danger of Frost. I was working on like some multiple neck tunings on the 8-string steel guitars, right?
Wow.
So I got a couple of these Fenders with 3 necks or 4 necks or whatever, and then I tuned the necks like similarly, but like just off by a couple of cents here and there, and then get all the harmonics going, and then, you know, the interference and the beat frequencies would make these little melodies come out. I was just doing all kinds of goofy stuff like that. But I had a couple of tunings and a couple of ideas from that I really liked. And so what I did was I got Johnny, my son John, who's a brilliant musician.
He's drummer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, or composer who plays the drums, or dude, all around good dude. I got Leslie because I met her earlier working on some stuff at Weir. He had some kind of broadcast, the We're Here thing he used to do from TRI. I used to do it for a while. But
We're Here, that's a good name.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. But I met Leslie there, and we had, you know, you're a musician and you meet somebody and you play and you have a good time and you go, hey man, we should really do something sometime. I'll see you later. Yeah, we should really get together. Yeah, we'll get together. Right, and then you never see the guy again.
Sometimes I think with musicians it happens a lot that they do actually. No,
but we actually got together to do.
That's cool.
So we got together to write, and the springboard for a bunch of this stuff were some of these ideas of tunings, taking these tunings and then listening to the sound that resulted, and kind of like let it make its own gravy and work from there. So it was a bunch of the stuff was tuning specific to begin with, and then evolved into more conventional band arrangements. And then Dave Schools, who is an awesome producer
from Widespread Panic. Yes.
Yeah. Hardworking Americans or whatever else he's doing.
Yeah, that's right. Hardworking Americans.
Stockholm Syndrome with Jerry Joseph, one of my favorite writers of all time. He, I mean, Dave produced it, and he knew what the good stuff was, and went in there and kind of dragged it out of us. But the, anytime you get a group of people and deliberately make it a writing exercise, okay, our job is to come up with our material, our stuff, not my stuff, not your stuff, our stuff.
Yeah.
Anytime you do that, it's going to be a departure from the last thing. Anytime you don't do it. So it's just been to the extent that I've got records out there, it's just a series of departures, It
was a great record, man.
I think so.
Yeah, it was really good.
I think it's, I think it's my favorite of the stuff I've done. Although there's some really neat stuff on some of those old Zero records too. I don't know. Maybe I was too close to it.
Is that stuff out? Is that out there? Like, can I find on an Apple Music or something?
Probably not. I actually don't know, but I'll figure it out for you. Jen would know, but there's a couple of bits. Spoken For was a nice recording. A Hunter lyric. I just really liked the lyric on that one for Zero. We're doing some Zero gigs, by the way, with me and Greg and Melvin Seals. Is,
keyboard player,
playing the keys, and Pete Sears is playing the bass, and Pete is just like out of control on the bass. He's extraordinary. He's so good. It's just something about those English guys, the way they approach it. It's just they're just going for it. It's great.
Are those going to be posted on your site?
Yeah.
When are those gigs coming up?
No, a little while.
No, what months? November, December, January?
Yeah, they might be. I think they might be November too. We should look those up. I confess, man, that I've like given up on time.
You just like point me in the right direction and prod me when I need to get dressed.
Seriously, man. It's like maybe now
you probably live longer, man, because time is what causes all the pressure, right, man?
It is, man. I've kind of abandoned it for the most part. Like most days, I don't know what day it is. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like I have enough things about like numbers to keep in my head. I got enough numbers to keep in my head. I don't need to know the date or the year or the month or any of that kind of stuff. It's just, it's just now. Am I getting anything done now?
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
You probably live a lot longer.
Well, it's scary. I hope I do.
I hope you do.
I made it this far. Like I said when I started, I never thought I was going to live this long. I would have taken such better care of myself, man, if I knew I was going to be 64 today.
Oh, you look great, though, man, for 64. That's not old anymore.
I guess not.
That's not.
I hope I live to at least 65.
Hey, speaking of which, what were some low points or dark periods that you had to deal with, and how'd you get through them?
Oh, yeah.
If you're comfortable, okay.
Yeah, I mean, there have been multiple really dark periods, man, for all kinds of reasons, man, all kinds of personal reasons, relationship reasons, financial reasons, health reasons, like everything. And I got through them, and I got through them by playing the guitar. If this is like too like Captain Obvious a moment to like duh, but I just like when things got tough or when they get tough, I just kind of like focus on the music and put my nose back on the grindstone, and then I kind of don't feel anything. You know what I mean? I don't need to feel anything when that's going on. I'm not supposed to feel anything. Like the way that I figured out how to get anything done was to, you know, not have any desire for there to be any immediate benefit from it. You know, I was not looking for gratification, you know, and not even looking to be happy. You know, it's just like something about it just has to be, it's just got to be real. It has to be real all the time, and then I'm okay, you know.
So you approach your playing without expectations, and then what happens afterwards, that's whatever happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
dude, you're low stress. You're gonna live to 100, man. I'm serious. These are all like low stress, like Zen shit. You know,
it's like I have to play anyway. You know, this is like what it boils down to, or I'm a jerk. You know what I mean? I just have to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to play, so I play. But even when it was like, which is shortly before my son John was born. I got a beautiful square neck National guitar, you know, like a dobro.
Yeah.
Tricone. And I had this new little apartment thing that I rented with Bobby Vega, you know, where we could, you know, do some music. And it had kind of a high ceiling, and it was like a little stone inside kind of thing. It's kind of nice. And there was nothing in there, just a chair and a guitar. And I tried to get my dobro chops, my hand flat this way, you know, kind of thing. You know, the Hawaiian chop as opposed to Spanish chop. I was trying to get my Hawaiian chops, you know, closer to, you know, like performance level, what I considered performance level at the time, which is pretty strenuous. And I totally blew my thumb out. I fucked my tendons all up. I like,
oh wow.
I got up one day and I couldn't move my thumb, right thumb, right picking.
Wow, not good for good.
Could not move my thumb, and I got like this giant antler was sticking out here and was all swollen up, and so I went to a bunch of doctors, and they were saying, "Sorry, can't do anything for it." And then I finally got an appointment with this guy down in San Francisco, who was like the big deal hand surgeon on the West Coast, like so violin players' hands back then. I did all the sports guys. And so I went to him, and he was like the main guy. And I showed him my hand, and he put my hand down on a piece of paper. He drew around it, and he drew all the stuff in, you know, drew all the little tendons and stuff in. And he points it to me. He says, "This right here," he says, "all this shit," he says, "that's gone." I said, "What do you mean it's gone?" He says, "Gone, man. You blew it out. You destroyed it. You destroyed your thumb." And I said, "Yeah, but I gotta, you know, like be able to do all this stuff." And his exact words to me were, "Son, get a Casio. Your playing days are over."
Wow.
He said, "Normally, I wouldn't suggest surgery to somebody the first time I see him." He says, "But the only way you're going to get any relief from this is to immediately go under the knife." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't really want to hear that."
Yeah, who the hell wants to hear that?
And he said, "Well, look," he says, "look, man, you think about it." He says, "I can give you a shot for the pain right now. I'll give you a steroid to reduce the inflammation. But you can only have so many of those because it just gets weaker and weaker and weaker, and it's easier to get injured. So I'll give you the shot." And so he gives me the shot right in the wrist or the hand or something with the needle, and it felt a little better. I was with Bobby Vega, and Bobby drove me down. And I said, and we were like down in the financial district somewhere, so we weren't far from Real Guitars. I said, "Bobby, take me to Real Guitars." So we went over to Real Guitars, And I looked around the wall till I found a dobro, and I said, I'm just gonna sit and play for a while, you guys. And my thumb pick on it, my finger picks on it, and I said, fuck, I'm playing through this. Fuck all y'all, right? And sat down immediately with what was left in my hand and just said, okay, I'm just gonna play through it. And I did, and it took about a year, but I played through it.
No, you didn't have to get the surgery.
I didn't do anything.
That's really cool, man.
I just kept playing. I'd been to a bunch of doctors. They all said nothing we can do. And when I finally got to the big guy, he was like, "You're done." And I said, "Fuck it, I'm going to play anyway."
Do you think that was wow? Do you think that was like a mind over matter thing, or like a spiritual thing, or what do you? Is there any? Or you probably haven't even thought about it because it's too much pressure. You just said, "Fuck it, I'm happy."
No, I don't think it was like a mind over matter thing. I just wasn't ready to accept what they were telling me. That it was career ending injury, right? That you can't be fixed, kind of thing. And I was like, I can't be right. I was just, maybe I was stupid. Maybe it was like a coin toss.
Yeah.
Maybe I made it worse, or maybe it would have gotten better anyway if I'd done nothing, or maybe it didn't matter.
Good for you, man. That's really good.
I had such single-mindedness of purpose otherwise, and it's so little option for any other course of action. It was like, well, what can I do?
Yeah.
If I can't play, I'm like, well, you can play. It's like, oh, great. A little catch-22 in it there. But I worked through it. So that's
really cool.
That was one of those episodes. That was bad. That was dark. And that's how I got through it. So generally, when the going gets tough, I just sit back down with the guitar and, realize that nothing is really supposed to be easy anyway. I'll just do my best to work. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When you play, I often see a piece of tape on your guitar near the neck. What is that for?
Oh, nothing.
Like, it's not always, but I see it a lot. What is the deal with that?
On this guitar, and you can probably still see where the tip was. There was tape across here, right? There was tape, right? And this was broken, and it was holding the pickup.
Oh.
Piece of pickguard on. I still have the piece of pickguard. It's probably sitting right here in my little box of special stuff that I have next to where I sit.
So it's just like functioning as tape, literally.
Just tape. It was just holding the thing together.
Because I'm looking at him like, that's the fucking secret of his tone. It's the tape. No. I gotta find out.
No. I'll tell you my deal, and drives people nuts, is that if something breaks at a gig, I'll make it work again.
Yeah.
And when it's done working, you got to take it to somebody to actually fix it. Right.
Yeah.
But if it breaks,
you make it work. Yeah.
I got no choice.
Sure.
I mean? Yeah. Like I've low E strings for throttle cables on Volkswagen buses and Harley Davidsons. And,
oh, wow.
Literally make stuff work. So that's because it's me. And the thing broke, and I made it work, and I never bothered to fix it. Although I've threatened.
You threatened to fix it?
Every couple of months, I threaten to refurbish that old '60 Stratocaster so it's nice again, because I beat it to death.
You could sell it and say, "Listen, I'll leave the tape on if you want the mojo, but it's going to cost you."
I can't sell this one. It's been.
That's so funny. Oh wow! What are those knobs?
Those are from
like a Harmony or something.
I think it's. I think those are Supro knobs. The Harmony knobs have bigger, like a Harmony Hollywood, or kind of guitar, old hollow body Harmonies. They had bigger flute on the side. These are smaller. These are Supros. That's a super nub. Let's see.
Steve, tell me your top 3 desert island discs. Oh yeah,
Supro nubs.
very cool. Old Supro.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Not super old. I think that at one point they were actually Bakelite back in the 50s. These are plastic. Oh, 3.
Just for like your top 3 desert island discs, just for now. Like, you know, because that could change every moment.
Oh my goodness. Well, oh man, that's so hard.
I know.
I mean, today I'd have to take, you know, any number of Atlantic era Ray Charles compilations.
Mm-hmm.
Get some Ray Charles in there. Oh man, that is really rough. Oh, I'd probably get Johnny Winter Progressive Blues Experiment in there.
That's a great record, man.
That's kept me busy all my life. I love that. Oh, and you know, I don't know. Everybody digs Bill Evans or something like that.
Everybody digs Bill Evans. Yeah, that's been on a couple of people's lists.
Because everybody digs Bill Evans.
And I'm going to ask you 3 more questions. They're tough.
Sure.
And I appreciate your time very much.
No problem.
What do you like most about yourself?
I like how I've learned to be a better father. You know, I wish I could have been a better father to start, but I keep getting better at it. So I love my children. I like that.
That's nice, man. You know, I think that's like, it's funny that you say that because I know I'm a better father to my 3rd than my 1st.
Exactly.
I'm closer with my 1st than, you know, in a way I'm closer with each of them, but it's like, I think I've come to, it's like everything else, man. It's experience. So,
yeah.
You know?
It's like, so I'm so sorry. I had to use you for a guinea pig, but I got it.
Yeah. Right. Like I fucked up and now I can do it better. And then,
right.
Yeah. Right. It's so true, man. You know, especially like, as you get, and you're getting older at the same time, so you're getting smarter, or you know, trying to have more awareness and stuff, and you're like things that you never thought of. Like,
well, see that one, that one right there, that bit, the family aspect of it, that's really worked. That's come around for me because my son, my eldest, John, the
composer,
composer, just my favorite musician and favorite person on
That's
earth.
Awesome.
Just had his first child.
That's cool. Daughter. Congratulations.
Yeah, Penny.
Congratulations.
Penny, we call her. So now I'm a grandfather.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, now it feels like I can actually, you know, like I could be of more use.
you know what?
As a grandfather, again, I get to go around again, you know, and like help out.
But you know, it's cool because my oldest has a 5-year-old. I'm grandfather.
Nice.
To me, the nicest thing about it, I don't feel the pressure. Like I always felt so much pressure with, like, it's a heavy for me. I felt like, man, it was really heavy responsibility. Right. I always had to be on, aware, and you know, responsible. That's the nice thing about
crazy
grandparents. You don't, you know, you get the joy, but you get to play, but you're not like, you don't have to change the diapers, you don't have to pay the bills, you don't have, you know, and it's nice to be, you know, it's like when they get older, your kids get older, you feel, wow, this is great, we can enjoy each other now, you know.
It really is.
It's funny, man, how that works with being a dad, though, isn't it? Stupid shit. Like, I don't know about you, but I realize, like, you know, it was really stupid that I expected my 3-year-old not to do stupid things. or my 5, why was I aggravated at him because he was doing something stupid at 5?
Right, yeah.
Like where was my head at?
I could have just let that go.
Yeah.
Would have been fine.
For everyone, it would have been so much better, And then but for me, by the third one, I was like, man, whatever the fuck you want to do, go ahead. Like as long as it's your safety and education and health, whatever else is fine with me, man.
Yeah.
It was really funny, man. How many you have, 2 or 3? 4. God bless you.
4 boys, man.
God bless
you. Beautiful boys. Smart and strong.
Wow. Yep. That's good. That's one of the best answers to this question I've had. Learn to be a better father. Second question, anything you wish you'd done different or anything you regret not doing?
I do. I have one, I think it's like the one classic regret of all time, man, that I'm still hoping to rectify shortly. It ties into what we were talking about earlier with Devashish, because I hope to study with him. When I moved to California, right, and I was talking about that, there are these jazz guys, man, and then there are these rock guys. The real guys, man, turns out, were the cats at the Ali Akbar College. And the first apartment I managed to get for myself was adjacent to the parking lot of the Ali Akbar College in San Rafael there on a Miracle Mile. And I woke up that first morning in that little apartment, and I heard the kids were just out in the parking lot. There room for like 3 or 4 cars, not much of a parking lot. With the tabla and the sarod, and I heard the music, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing, man. I ran over to the edge of the wall. I looked, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe where I am. I had no idea. And so I used to go, they'd let me come in. I couldn't bring an instrument because I couldn't pay, but they'd let me come in and sit and listen to the classes. And
oh, that's cool.
And I always, regretted not like picking up this road. I never would have made another penny as long as I lived. I never would have seen another human being. I would have been in some cave somewhere with a sarod.
You're that in love with the instrument.
One note, man. And I just regret like not having it was like uncharacteristic for me, man. I just did not have the balls to quit playing the electric guitar. You know what I mean? And just pick up the sarod. And I should have picked it up. A buddy of mine, a buddy of Frank's, Goodman's, I went out with, Ken Zuckerman was a student at the Ali Akbar College back there in the middle 70s, early 70s when we went there. A couple other our friends that came with us from the East Coast also studied. 2 of them since passed away. But Ken was a sarod player, and he would come over to the house, and we'd all be partying, playing the guitar, and listening to Eric Clapton or whatever. He'd come over with the sarod and play for us, and it was like, oh yeah, man, that's cool. I love that. That's great, man. But he stuck with it, and he is now the director of the Ali Akbar College in Switzerland.
Wow.
He's in Basel. And I saw him a couple of years ago. He came over and visited and slapped my hand over a couple of intonation issues. Like I hear my sevenths, like harmonic sevenths. I hear them like 7/4, I hear them like 7th partial. And they don't do the 7th partial over there, man. I kept playing that 7th like it was a blues, We can't go, no. But he stuck with it so hard, man, that I can hear a Western guy play, sarod or one of those instruments and know right away that, dude, you don't speak the language,
Right.
And but Ken has been doing it for so long, and he's done it so well that he absolutely 100% legitimate, master North Indian classical musician. I wish I'd done that. I feel so stupid that I didn't. And then hanging out with Devashish and looking at seeing the level that he got to with, like just going for all the right stuff in all the right ways. Spooky, levels of accomplishment in music. Just heartbreakingly beautiful, wonderful stuff. So I regret that.
Can you spell Sarod, please? Because I want to look that up.
Sarod.
Thanks, man. Wait, well, you can play it now.
No, I can't.
Why? Why?
Well, it's not the kind of thing that you pick up when you're 64.
Hey, let me tell you a story.
All right.
My wife is in the UK right now visiting her mom. She's only been there a few days, so her time is all whacked.
Right.
So the other night, she calls me. It was like 11:30. My time, Eastern Standard Time. It's 4:30 in the morning. You know, she texts me first. Hey, are you awake? Yeah, we connect on the phone, and she goes, "My God, you sound so happy. What are you doing?" I said, "Wow." I said, "I've been playing my guitar for 3 hours." I've only been playing guitar 4 years. I'm 55. If I could do that with all your experience you have, bro.
Oh, man.
There's no reason.
Oh, I just wish I could start over sometime.
There's no reason you can't pick up that Sarod.
I'd do it. I'd do the whole thing again.
Dude, get a Sarod. No. I got a great idea.
All right.
Do some Sarod stuff. Whenever you're going to make another record.
All right.
Right. When you make the other record, come back on the show. We'll do like a 25, 30-minute show to promote the record.
All right.
And you do a Sarod performance.
All right. You asked for it.
Yeah, man. That would be really freaking cool.
I'll do it.
That would be very cool. That would be really cool. And
you know, I tell you what I do like, although it's not, I'm not quite ready to make a whole record of it. Is I enjoy playing the fretless guitar. Really like the guitar with no frets on it.
You've got to be kidding me. I just heard of that yesterday. Do you know Ron Thal?
I know
Bumblefoot?
Yeah, I don't know his stuff really.
Oh my God, I could hook you up. Oh my
God.
This is so crazy. He was on my show yesterday. Great guy. One of the most creative human beings I've ever met in my life. I mean, he is not just as a guitar, he's brilliant as a writer. He is out of Jersey, but he used to play. He played with Guns N' Roses for 6 years.
Oh, right.
He plays. He does a lot. Man, that guy is like one of the hardest work. He's like, one of the hardest working guys out there. He's always on the road. He does.
Yeah, if he's playing fretless, hook us up, man. I'll learn something.
He plays. He has a double neck guitar. Fretless is on the top. And I said to him, this is yesterday. How weird is this that you're telling me about a fret? I mean, I've never even heard of a fretless guitar. So he's got the top is fretless and the bottom is, conventional rosewood neck guitar with frets. And I said, how do you know, like, when do you play? And he's extremely like bright. I didn't understand like what he was saying. It was like I had to study for the SAT exam before I interviewed him because he was like really off the charts bright. And but he plays a fretless, man. I'll hook you guys up.
Thank you.
He's a super cool dude and a very smart musician. And he would dig what you do because he does tons of great improv. He's all over the board. He's very eclectic, very wide range of it's funny how like if you would have spoken to me last week, I wouldn't have known anything about that. Isn't it weird how shit happens sometimes? Let me just make a note. That is very cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah. You do fretless on one track, Sarod on the other.
and there's another one. It's got some weird alert. Some weird alert on my computer just came in, like about the Impossible Burger. Something. I guess I'm supposed to eat an Impossible Burger. The kids had. I was away. Impossible Burger?
Yeah, I never heard of that.
The burger. They make a burger now out of some kind of plant stuff.
Oh.
It's supposed to taste just like a regular burger.
Oh.
I don't know. But I don't know. My screen was just telling me about it. It's not important. There's another version, an earlier version of the Sarod my understanding of it is the rabab, which is an Afghani instrument. The sarod has a metal fingerboard and steel strings. Apparently, there's an older variation of it that has like a wooden fingerboard with like 4 frets tied on, a couple of frets tied on for the low notes, and then it's fretless after that.
So this is sarod fretless.
Oh yeah. No frets on
oh shit! So that's where all this came from. I wonder where if Ron played a sarod. Interesting. Last question, Steve. Biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years, and how much of that has been intentional and how much is just a natural process of aging?
Oh, I may just be recently, unintentionally, last year. As a kind of a couple of things happened almost. My dad died.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
And that was rough. And in order to communicate correctly with my ancestors, I was forced to drink as much alcohol as my old man. Well, I guess when he was trying to communicate with me. To like get over it. And that didn't work, man. And then, so like losing my father, man, that was like a personality altering moment. And it wasn't too much longer after that where I smacked my head really hard and I gave myself a really nasty concussion. And I had so lost the thread on what was supposed to feel normal or be normal that I quit smoking cigarettes. And I had smoked cigarettes all my life because my dad did, and so once I got over that little like trying to drink my way into heaven with my father and hit my head that cured my nicotine addiction, I think I got like a little mellower, a little easier going about some stuff, because I had way back in the day, again, before Johnny was born, I was in a automobile accident. I was driving a van full of gear back from Los Angeles when I was 5, and the tire blew out and the van rolled.
Oh, wow.
And dude, my passenger, the keyboard player in the band, was killed, shit all over.
Oh my God.
Giant mess.
Sorry, man.
And yeah, it was a giant mess. I was in a wheelchair for a long time, and it sucked. But mostly what sucked about it was before that, I had like a sense of humor. And, that shit was funny. And then after that, like for the next 40 years or something like that, until recently, it's been mostly just been a nice guy in a bad mood would be a good way to describe me, just generally. A nice guy in a bad mood. And then my dad died and I hit my head again. And I think I'm just in a better mood now.
Wow.
I had to hit my head twice. Once to like get over thinking everything was funny. And then I hit it again and got over it.
To remember that it's okay to be funny.
It's okay to like not worry about it too much.
Wow, man. Thank you for sharing that. That was really cool.
It was, it happened to me.
I'm really sorry about your dad. Wow.
Yeah. Well, he checked out on his birthday, which was kind of hip. He's like, I'm out of here.
Wow. That's pretty wild. Holy shit.
Yeah.
So to circle back to your original comment before we started recording, when you said, how long is this going to take? Because I'm not much of a talker. Congratulations. You did a good job. And I really thank you. You're a very sweet guy, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate your playing.
I was fast asleep, and I had just done this giant fucking weekend thing in Arkansas. I had no mood to fucking talk about myself. That's for sure.
Well, you did great, man. And I really appreciate you sharing all this stuff. And if I could ever help you, man, please come back on the show. I'd love to help promote and support
I would love
anything
to.
you do. Yeah,
I'm gonna go get a Rabab or a Sirot or something like that, and I'm gonna make a record with it.
Do it, man. Do it.
Just because you said that, and then you're gonna go, I can't believe that fucking guy did that.
Yeah, that'd be great. We'll put it out, man. That's great. I'll promote it. We'll turn more people onto your music. Let me tell people where to find you and what's going on. First of all,
you should just look for me at Kimock.com.
Yeah,
go to the website, and the date. There's dates on there. Contact info. There's that Kimock's Corner routine where
talk about that, because people listen to this are going to groove on that.
It's
on Steve's website on Kimock.com. He's got a tab called Kimock's Corner.
My dad, who was remember my dad that died?
Yeah, you said he was a steel worker.
Well, yeah. Well, after he got out of doing the steel thing, he was in like local politics and school board and stuff like that, and he had a little column that he wrote called Kimock's Corner.
Oh, that's nice.
Do some opinion, about some political thing or this or that. And he was nice enough. I mean, I was probably in junior high school at the time. He was writing that column. But like to involve me, he would make me look, I would have to spell check it. I was kind of like his editor and say, well, you could say this differently. I can't believe you let me do that, because my dad was like super literate, super smart. But he would engage me in the Kimock's Corner proofreading process.
Were you his first?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
And we had a lousy fucking relationship, man. I love him very much, but it was rough. I was such a juvenile delinquent, man, and he was such a, it was just such a product of the Great Generation, man. It's just, he wasn't having any of my, fucking anti-Vietnam bullshit. Anyway. The Kimock's Corner thing is mostly hardware related, maybe a little process related. What about this guitar? What about those pickups? Did you use that kind of thing?
That's really cool that you do that.
I tried to go online at some point, and do the various,
social media.
Yeah, like social media. It didn't work for me. I really tried. I always felt,
now you're not in a bad mood.
Well, I felt some obligation,
okay.
To if people were playing or they wanted to play, just like you said, like to be helpful. I just wanted, if I can be helpful, if I can help somebody somehow, with their trip, where can I find this? How did you get this together? Should I worry about X, Y, Z, that kind of stuff? If I can help, I will. And, but it really turns out that kind of thing is what happens with people when they're face to face, and you can't secondhand it and really make it work. As much as I appreciate, the opportunity that the whole internet gives to people to expose themselves to, to new music or old music or a broader community. The reality of it is, man, you really got to get in the same room.
Yeah, and the fact that when you're not, because you don't have any skin in the game, it's real easy to say, hey, I have a really complicated question I'm going to ask you. And by the way, I'm never going to look at your answer because in 20 minutes, I'm going to be on the next flashy thing.
Right.
But while I'm on this right now, you'd probably be the perfect guy to answer this question. And that's what happens because there's no skin in the game. Whereas if someone had to come over or you met someone for a beer or coffee or whatever, it's a different, or they came over to the house to play.
Oh man, when you sit down and play with people, like I know people, like if I met them online, I wouldn't be able to put up with them for 30 seconds, man, well, man, I know this one dude who was like, he's convinced the earth is flat. he's got like equations and shit.
No, but here's the scary thing.
He can prove the earth is flat, you know, and at the same time, it's still like one of the most creative, most groovy, most wonderful, funny, super awesome people that you'd ever meet. Great musician, singer, you know, multi-instrumentalist, one-man band, whatever. It can do anything. Dude's awesome. I'm not going to out him on the
No.
But it's a spectacular dude.
Now you know you're going to get like.
I think it's important. I think it's important to remember that people that are really good at some stuff are going to necessarily have some really fringe ideas, and then you can't challenge them, you know, because if that's how you get your results. I mean, what's his name? Eric Johnson, man. Oh, there's like a bunch of like online kind of lore about Eric Johnson with the battery and the fuzz box, that kind of thing.
Oh, and the one end of the cable and
right.
The sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, I work with some of the people that work with him technically, and that doesn't even scratch the surface. The shit that he can tell you makes a difference. I'm not even going to say it's so out there, you know, and then I try it and I'm like, I don't get it. You know, but I don't get his results either.
Right,
you know?
right.
Right. And I can't argue his results. And so all across the board, man, when people are really, you know, when their minds are really going, you know, the shit that hooks up to make the whole thing work, you can isolate some part of it. And even that part, like my buddy that's convinced the earth is a disc and not a sphere. That somehow that's like a necessary ingredient to his trip, you know? And then it's like, okay, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore that that's like not right, or that I would argue it otherwise. It just matters that this is part of the soup.
Yeah, everybody's got shit, you know?
It makes this go. I'll say one more thing about that.
Yeah, please.
Say one more thing about that. Because maybe it figures, maybe it doesn't. I'm not like a religious person, okay? But I'm like a passionate observer of works of faith. When people believe stuff that allows them to do like fantastic things, you know, whether it's art or combat or whatever, I think that's special, you know, and without necessarily attaching the idea of accomplishment, you know, to a deity, you know, just the idea that you could have faith in something and that moves you to do some work. I think that's really cool about people. And then I have to, you know, I go, oh yeah, well, here's Alfred Lord Tennyson, Sir Galahad or something like that. I read Sir Galahad and I go, oh yeah, that is the mysticism. That is the Christian mysticism to me. That's cool. Cool works, man. And then I look at my buddy with the flat earth thing and I go, man, that's no different. You know, he believes something that helps him achieve.
Right. No, I agree with you. I think
can't be wrong. That can't be wrong, you know?
No.
Right. And so, okay, anyway, to slam the door on that one, then now we're back online and with the social media thing. And then people are essentially arguing faith and then arguing results. It's like, no, man, you can't.
I know. I don't. It's a bad.
You can't argue the belief. You can't argue
energy,
the belief.
man.
You can't argue the results, man. Just go do something.
It's a bad use of energy.
Do something. Yeah.
Really bad. I know. I don't understand that, man.
Yeah. Jerry Garcia's advice to me: you got all the chops you need. You just have to believe in yourself.
I love that, man.
Right. That's for everybody. You got all the chops you need. You just got to believe in yourself.
Hey, man, that's a great way to end this. Let me. I really like that. First of all, thank you again, man. You're a really cool dude. I'm really glad we got to connect, and I'm so happy that you, came on. I know you're wiped out, so thank you. You did great, and I really appreciate everything you shared about yourself. Everybody, please check out Steve's music. It's Steve Kimock. Go to kimock.com. It's Kimock. All his shows are there. He's doing shows. His old band Zero's back together, and they're going to be. Are you touring just New York? Are you going to be doing national or?
I think the Zero thing is just in San Francisco, Lake Tahoe, West Coast.
West Coast. Okay. And then you're playing with Jorma and Jack, Hot Tuna Electric in New York in November.
Yeah.
That's other shows with them?
I don't think so. I think they're doing the rest of the run. I think just that first gig is the electric one.
That's really cool. Very cool.
It's like a big anniversary thing for them, 50 years.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Big deal.
And Kimock's Corner, go there and see all the cool stuff Steve's talked about. Please be respectful of his time. If you can ask him a question, keep it music related. He really doesn't know if the earth is flat, and he won't argue with you.
I can only listen to your music and enjoy it.
Man, thank you. Hang on one second. I'm going to just wrap this up. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, please share it on your social media channels and with your friends. We appreciate your support. Please support Steve. Check out his music. He's a great guitar player, man. His first solo record, anyway, is just the tone is, man, one thing about, you're a great example of, you always sound like you, no matter what you're playing. And you do play a lot of different genres. And that's really, that's what every guitar player wants.
We don't have to put this in this installment of the thing, but I just kind of want to say something about the whole tone thing, because it relates again to the idea that there's guitar on the internet, right? Because guitar on the internet and in the marketing of it is about tone. A lot of it is about tone. And that's new. It didn't used to be like that, right? Like, you didn't used to have to get a sound out of the electric guitar. It used to be the electric guitar was a sound. That's why those guys played it. They picked it up because it was a sound. You didn't have to do anything to get a sound out of an electric guitar. You picked it up and you plugged it in and you play it. And everyone's like, what the fuck is that? That's amazing. It's an electric guitar. No, it already has a sound. You don't have to do anything to it.
There you go, right on. But what you're playing is, it's you, man. Everything you play, it's just it's very identifiable.
Yeah, to the extent that it's me, to the extent that I was sort of successful in my single-mindedness and purpose of just it being about me and the guitar. I just want to be about me and figure out some way to make that feel okay.
Well, man, you figured it out for sure. Everybody, make sure you go to everyonelovesguitar.com. Sign up to get on our newsletter list so you and I can connect. And don't forget, most important, remember that happiness is a choice. So choose wisely. Be nice, go play your guitar, and have fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I'm out. Steve, thank you for everything, brother.
See you.